Said like, what is this? It's like, no, there's this IIMs and all MBA. You should. This is the thing to do. It was a bit of a struggle. That's where my quizzing bit really picked up. That path led to becoming a chartered accountant. There was this great race to do everything really fast. I got calls from B, C, L, and Indore. I was just praying then that if this happens, I mean, this is just amazing. In hindsight, I'll say if I'd known the full picture of what this is and who are the others writing that exam and what the percentages are. That's a pretty interesting and very serendipitous type of journey. So I'll take your indulgence in a few minutes to narrate that. So I grew up in Chennai, studied in the same school all my life, Padma Seshadri, widely regarded as one of the best schools in the city, if not in the country. And actually, today I have the privilege of going back and working with the school quite a bit. The first, I think, in a series of many radical and people would say sometimes irrational steps that I took was to choose the commerce group in 11th and 12th and not the sciences.
So Padma Sheshadri, is that a co-ed school or is that like a boys' school?
It's a co-ed school. I took commerce, and I was still, like I said, I was in the extracurriculars. I could never make my school quizzing team though, because it was really one of the two teams that I wanted to make in my school, the quizzing team and the cricket team. I could never make both because both were extremely competitive and highly coveted to make. I was in the school debating team though, and a bunch of other things. I would, generally stand up and like take do an assembly in charge kind of thing if somebody had to step in for something like that, or like stand up in the class and monitor it or whatever. Those types of things I would do. So that led straight to a BCom. And the path at that time that I had known was that path led to becoming a chartered accountant, because that was the only thing I had heard of. That's the only thing people generally did as a career trajectory. I already had a cousin who had done that, so I knew of that. I thought that's what I was going to do. A lot of the people, interestingly, from school, it is one of the big CBSE schools, would typically go into the evening college of one of the three or four prominent colleges in Chennai to do a BCom. Because, there was this great race to do everything really fast. There was this mad rush and everybody would go to evening college. I, however, went to day college because, again, I realized that, look, 3 years of college is going to happen. Might as well make the most of it. This was a boys' college, by the way, Miklani, before you ask the question again. This was Vivekananda College. This was a boys' college. And the day college route was essentially so that I could, you know, kind of take those 3 years somewhat easy and continue this whole, quizzing plus plus type things that I wanted to do. I'd say in hindsight, that was an interesting decision because that's where my quizzing bit really picked up in terms of not necessarily being not that I hosted quizzes at the time, but participated in a lot of quizzes when I was in my BCom. And 3 years of BCom was going on perfectly fine with this route to becoming a chartered accountant. When in my second year, my quiz teammate was a third year, right? And he was doing third year BSc physics. So we'd become like good friends. We were quiz teammates and so on. So he said, Macha, I'm going to go and like write CAT. I said, like, what is this? He's like, no, there's this IIMs and all MBA. You should, this is the thing to do. I'm going to go give a good shot at it. I'm going to write it. And you should also do this in your third year. The third year, December, is when you can actually write this exam. So he wrote it. I was in my second year. He wrote it when he was in his third year. Unfortunately, he didn't clear it. I was by the time in my third year, he had left college. And I said, okay, chalo, I should also now try this since Srini has tried it. I gave it a shot. Those days, I don't think there were any actual physical coaching classes at all. Srini gave me some idea and he said, look, there's this IMS postal coaching type thing. You sign up for it. They'll send you a docket of stuff, but you have to be like very diligent about it. You have to shut yourself up in a room and like read and prep and all of that. So they had this package where they would send you all this material, and then I think if you got shortlisted wherever, they would give you some GD and personal interview coaching and things like that. So I got that. Even then, I was very kind of slightly cocky and sure about the fact that I'd do well in the English parts of the exam.
Did your reading habit really help you? And would you tell someone who's preparing for CAT, because English is still English, maybe some question formats might have changed? Is that something you'd recommend? And what would you tell them?
I would definitely, in any case, recommend that everybody read. And it doesn't have to be that you have to read something very highbrow, high funda. It doesn't have to be Shakespeare. It doesn't have to be some non-fiction biography. You read a book, you see a word, you don't know what it is, and you make the effort of going and looking it up and figuring out what it is. I think it's a great start. I'd say that that helped me, if not with anything, my confidence in the verbal and RC sections in CAT.
Yes.
That plus the prep, I think was super useful. So
And the prep was
to
IMS, purely IMS. Is that correct?
purely IMS,
And you didn't do anything else at that time.
nothing
Right,
else, nothing
right.
else. No coaching, no
And what about
classes, no
math? Were you
teacher.
naturally gifted with maths and quantitative stuff, or did you have a lot of uphill battle there?
It was a bit of a struggle for there was a 43 people section in the commerce group, one section for commerce. I comfortably topped math, and even in the boards, I think I made enough to be very close to the toppers of the science groups in math. That was school math. I was good at that. In college, there wasn't that much math in a BCom course. Uh, so it was generally okay, I think, but not, certainly not like a top draw, top level. So I think most of the effort of prep went into certainly into math and DI at that
So
time. And
did you not ever get daunted that was I'm a commerce maths topper, but I'll be now competing against all these IIT engineers and you name them.
actually, in hindsight, I'll say if I'd known the full picture of what this is and who are the others writing that exam and what the percentages are, I'd have probably been daunted. I
So
said,
this is a
you
clear
know,
case of ignorance is bliss, and it
ah,
helped you maintain your confidence. Don't
yeah,
overthink.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, totally agree. I mean, I think I just went in saying, let me give this a good shot. We'll see what happens. And along with that, I mean, I obviously then read up and researched a little more. So applied to a few more, MBA programs as well of like tier two, tier three business schools also. And I said,
Mhm.
let me give this a shot and see what it is because, like I said, I knew that the English parts were going to be up my alley. I was also fairly confident that if I went through, I should be able to give it a good shot in like a GD at least. If I didn't know much about the PI part, but the GD part, I said, look, I've debated, I've spoken in school, I'm comfortable with the language, communication skills are definitely a plus. So the good chance that that should move forward. So IMS happened, CAT happened. I wrote the paper. I wasn't sure. I had no clue how I had done. It's probably gone okay. Let's wait and see. Then the calls happened. So I got calls from B, C, L, and Indore. Four calls out of the six that were possible those days. So I didn't get Ahmedabad and I didn't get Kozhikode, but I got Bangalore, Calcutta, Lucknow, and Indore. The two of the interviews were in the Calcutta and the Lucknow interviews were in Chennai at a hotel. The Bangalore and the Indore interviews were in Bangalore at the IMB campus. I remember how the other interviews. I mean, I remember roughly how all the interviews went. The Lucknow interview was kind of neither here nor there. Some few questions, this that. The Calcutta interview was rather more in the face, saying, "You're not an engineer. How come you're here?" Type interview.
चुप चुप बिल्कुल चुप हिम्मत कैसे हुई तेरी मुंह खोलने की
The Indore interview, I thought like went really well because it was a very engaging, very detailed political type discussion. So it was fairly tumultuous times going on, and like there was a very deep, passionate politics discussion, is what I remember. And I spoke my mind and said what I had to say, and I came out thinking I've cracked this. This is like brilliant. That was Indore. The Bangalore interview was most interesting. It
Yes.
was, I think, it was a panel of 2, 3 people. Professor Ravi Anshuman was there. But the one amazing thing that happened is just walking into that campus to do that interview was like just, it was an indescribable feeling. I was just praying then that if this happens, I mean, this is just amazing. It was also because it was not that I had, gone to any other campus, in fact, right? Because the other interviews had happened in a hotel. But yeah, so that was the amazing thing. And yeah, so I got the expected rejects from Calcutta and Lucknow. I got waitlist one from IIM Indore, and I I got the seat from IMB.